This is the June 8th, 2021 Acquisitions and Dispositions Committee meeting. Calling the meeting to order at 3:32.
And we'll do a roll call. Tony Tazi,
Present.
Catherine Hedgeman.
I'm here as counsel.
Yep. Albert, all right, and Jeanette Nicholson and Steve Strikeman, and also attending is Michaela Lynch and Manuel Cordero. First item on the agenda is Property Disposition Committee recommendations.
Give you some quick background. This was scheduled for a finance committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, and Steve, by the way, was out for about 2 weeks with some surgery. So in 2019, when we submitted our list, there was conversations that kind of went back and forth, and we settled on a list, and that turned out to be the list that went to the city council in 2019. This time, in large part because Steve was out for 2 weeks, we didn't have that conversation. So both sides asked the finance committee to pull it from the agenda because we haven't had the conversation. So I believe I sent out the list the city came up with. But if not, I can do this.
You did a while ago, Tony.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Did I lose it? Do you guys? Yeah, you see? Yeah. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is what the city has teed up for us. 871 River Street is the bar at the northwest corner of River and Glen. That's the property that we need to complete the assemblage of that redevelopment space that Beacon Communities is interested in as part of the Fallon de-densification project. 863 River Street is looks like a building that needs to be demolished. I had it on the list only because I thought that the person who owns the property next to it would be interested to take it, to demolish it, and the building next door for parking. So I haven't approached that person yet. So I'm not sure if we would want that at this point. I need more information. 3346 Avenue is a two-family frame building, and it's kind of in between the co-developments we did with Habitat. The earlier co-development, which I wasn't here for, is to the north of this building on the same side of the street. The 6771 redevelopment or co-development is further north on the opposite side of the street. 30, and that building, by the way, is inhabited. The drone photos show a very bad roof on it. The tenants who I spoke to 3 times told me there's a lot of water coming in. I wasn't able to get inside the building except to see a peek at the basement, which they allowed me to do. 3236 Avenue is a 3-family brick building. It looks like some masonry repairs were made to the building. I need to get back inside of it, and Steve and I are going to go there Friday to get a better feel for, the structural component of the building.
Actually, we're going Wednesday. We're going tomorrow.
Oh, we are? Okay. Well, thanks. Sorry about that. And 17 Park Avenue is becoming our favorite street. 17 Park Avenue is a 2-story frame building. It looks like it had a lot of water damage, either from a bad roof or from burst pipes or both. It does have a good roof on it now. So What's not on the list is 32 Glen Avenue, which I didn't put on the list because I just had a gut feeling that there was going to be a lot of hidden expense there. But because of the governor's recently announced $25 million grant program, we may need that building. So do you guys want to talk about just the property disposition piece, or the property disposition piece and the grant, because they do kind of go together?
I'm okay if you keep going and talk about the grant as well.
Okay. So the grant is $25 million. It's eligible only to land banks. Our land bank would have to partner with a developer to develop 5 to 10 buildings, which is what they call a bundle. And those buildings have to be 1 family, 2 family, or 3 family. Given our property inventory right now, which is the lowest it's ever been by a long shot, we do need buildings if we have an interest in applying to that program. So I also earlier today pulled together kind of a summary of where buildings may be able to come from to create that bundle. I'm not sure if you guys had time to see it.
I have it in front of me now.
Okay.
And I had a quick peek.
Okay, I apologize for getting it to you so late. So I probably should have put the summary first because there's a lot of information, and then you get to the summary. So if we're interested to move forward with that grant program, I think we just lost Brian. Oh, Brian. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. We lost someone. My recommendation would be for us to keep 3229 6th Avenue. That's a property right now we're stabilizing. The plan had been to stabilize it and sell it for someone to take and run with. But I think it would be more important for us to retain it if we're going to apply for that grant. 17 Park Avenue, I think is a building that would be good to include it in the bundle. The building definitely needs quite a bit of work, but structurally it appears to be in pretty good shape. The foundation appears to be in very good shape. It has a new roof on it, or a newer roof on it. I think it's been vacant for quite a number of years. 3230 6th Avenue. That's the building that Steve and I are going to take a look at tomorrow. I think we should, unless something obvious pops up, I think we should add it as part of the bundle. 3340 6th Avenue, that I feel the same. We can't get in that building, but based on what the drone pictures showed, it really looks like the building needs a new roof, and whatever patching has to take place. The fact that it's inhabited, I think, should tell us that it can't be all that bad. 7 Park Avenue. That had been scheduled for demolition. And it was also going to be demolished so that we could create a larger parcel assemblage for redevelopment. Now that we have this grant in front of us, I'm not sure whether or not we should rehab the building or continue to move on and demolish it. So I have it on the list in case we need it to create a bundle. 863 and 785 River Street are properties that are going to be coming back to us. Sorry, I've got 863 on there twice. But it appears that that's going to have to go through the courts, so that's going to take some time. I'm not sure if we will have title to it in time to apply for a grant. And again, 32 Glen Avenue, that is available to us. When I wrote this, I wasn't sure, but no one submitted an application for that building. So So that
Tony, when is the application due for the grant funding?
there is, I haven't been able to find a deadline. So there, on last Thursday, there was an HCR webinar to talk about funding for land banks. And obviously this was the centerpiece, or it became the centerpiece. And I think the way this is going to work is there's $25 million out there and there's no deadline until the money's gone. That's the way, that's the way I look at it.
The only reason why I asked is, the return date on taking back these properties, 863 and 785, is next week. So, for all intents and purposes, we'll have a judgment for title within 30 days at least. Could be sooner.
Oh, okay. That's good news. I didn't realize that. Okay.
And Tony, are we banking the Park Avenue property for the RPI program?
Yes. That
Okay,
was,
so-
that was part of the,
And
Sure.
that assumed a demolition, right, of 7?
yes, it did.
And we don't have any new information since the end of their semester, do we?
No, I haven't heard from anyone. Last time we had an A&D meeting, Brian, I remember you saying you haven't heard.
Yeah, I had
Um,
reached out to Mei Ling just to get an update, and I haven't heard anything yet.
Okay.
I also reached out to Habitat to see if they had heard anything, and they hadn't either. So
Huh.
hopefully, they're marching along.
Well, given what Kate just said about the timing of things, and assuming, Brian, that you think we should keep 7 Park Ave as a demo, I
Yeah.
think the list should look more like that.
Where does 3209, 3211, 7th, I think it is, where does that fit in?
That's a 6-unit building, so it's not eligible because it's more than a 3-family.
Okay, all right. I mean, with scattered sites too, we're doing a project right now in Cohoes with community builders, scattered sites, and it's a fabulous project that they've bundled sites that aren't consecutive. So
Well,
that's a possibility too.
one of the objectives of the grant is to have buildings in fairly close proximity, so it's more impactful. And I got on Google Earth, and the radius, general radius between these buildings is about 450 feet, so they're pretty darn close. If you take outside, if you take the River Street properties off. So that's, I think that has to be taken into consideration when we're thinking about what properties we're going to ask the city for.
Is there any downside to not applying for this grant?
The only downside, and I don't think it really is a downside, if we took properties on that we didn't have funding for. So let's say we take these properties that definitely need work from the city, and we don't get a grant award, and there's no more money out there, then we're going to be paying for property maintenance and insurance. I did speak with someone who knows, somebody who used to work at Trip, who's a very good grant writer, and is very confident that we would have a successful application. So, my feeling is we should go for it. I don't have a vote, but I think we can assemble a really strong application based on the bundle that we'd be able to put together. And I would suggest, not putting 10 buildings together, but maybe 6, so that if one drops out, we have one and therefore still have a bundle.
Yeah, I don't see a downside.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, all things being equal, you'd be able to sell these, I'm sure, for rehab if something, if the grant
Yeah.
didn't pan out.
That's true. So go back to there.
We're not limited, or you're not limited on what you can sell them for afterwards, are there? Or how much profit? I mean, pretty much your profit's probably going to go into additional subsidy to the house.
There is some formula that they have in there, I'm pretty sure, Steve.
Yeah, if you can't, I mean, I guess in the context of the question, if we were going to do the rehab ourselves with either a co-developer or, in the case of this new grant, a private developer, I believe you can't sell it for more than you put into it or something like that.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Or a
Or there's a
percentage above that.
Correct. Yeah, there is some limitation on that. And then there's a limitation, depending upon the grantor, of, covenants and different things of the rental and amount of the property and all that would need to be in the deed. But you certainly can get back your investment.
Okay. So given that, what would you guys like me to do with the property disposition list, at least?
Okay. I say go for it.
Well, I think it's what it is it's a motion to advance a resolution to the board to acquire these properties out of committee.
Yeah,
I would like to take a look at 863 River Street, or I should say, talk to the person who owns the property next door. I don't think that's a building we should take on. It's strictly a demolition. And we don't have the cash to do that anytime soon.
okay. So would we entertain a motion to go for all the properties minus 863 River?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, if the person who owns the building next door is interested in this property, then I think we should take it and sell it to him. Then he could demolish
Okay.
both buildings, create a parking lot.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's the person who owns the tool machine shop at 850 River Street, the old brewery.
Oh,
Tony, I would just, if you're going to reach out
Zach
to,
Meehan,
Yes.
yikes.
if you're going to reach out to that potential purchaser on that 863 River, I would just say, yellow flag caution, only because having sold properties where folks agree to demo, like we would need a restriction on that with a demo almost right away, because what you don't want is someone that sits on that, it becomes a public hazard and then doesn't have the funds to fix it. I've been in a scenario where I've had to take 2 buildings back that were automatic demos, and the land bank got hit with that bill. So if they do want it, we would require a demo within, like 10 days or something like that.
Well, it'll take longer than that.
Well, yeah, I
To get
mean,
the permits.
within a reasonable amount of
Yeah.
time, but, I just don't, want to take something and then we flip it and then it doesn't get demoed right away. And then we've got problems with it, that's all.
I'd just like to add here that this fellow owns any number of properties in this neighborhood, has owned them for years and years and years and years, including the Oviatt building, and has done virtually nothing. So
I forgot he owns some of that.
I can't say that, he has a good track record for doing much of anything except buying and holding.
Well, if
For
that's what he
years.
wants to do, we could just, we could just leave that there.
Well, but Well, it's just, it seems crazy to sell it to somebody who
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
is, I don't know, not productive.
based on what you just said, I have a feeling that he would sit on them.
Well,
I-
it's kind of like he's turning this into his own little fiefdom. For what? I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess he likes vacant buildings.
So I guess I would suggest that we not accept that one from the city. Unless, Steve, you think that's going to create any problems?
Well, let it be the city's problem. I'm sorry, not ours.
Let's take a peek at it tomorrow, just when we go by, because I've seen it, obviously. Why do you think it's in such bad shape?
Well, I was able to open the front door and the building is like, you can't get past the front door. There's parts of the building have collapsed.
And does he own on both sides of it or just one side of it?
No, the buildings are kind of a set of three. The southern building is inhabited. The center building is 863 and the northern building is the one that Meehan owns.
Not to mention what he owns across the street that he's owned forever and is still vacant.
And what'd you say the one south of it was? I'm sorry, it's vacant?
No, the one to the south of it is inhabited. The one to the north of it is vacant.
Okay, the one to the north of it is man and it's vacant. And the one to the south of it is inhabited. Have you talked to those people? Or is that an investment?
No, I haven't. Why do you, why would that be worthwhile?
I'm just wondering if they're instead of that.
Oh, I see, okay. Oh, can't hurt to talk to them.
I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody about it.
Steve, I don't really see them buying, taking two buildings and paying to demolish them to make a larger yard. The only people crazy enough to do that would be the land bank.
Right, because you gotta imagine it's what, 40,000 maybe for a demo? Maybe
Yeah.
20. I mean, I
No,
don't know what.
It's 7 Park Ave is 33 and change, I believe. And we got a bargain on it because the bids came in the middle of COVID. So, can I suggest that we just take 863 off the list?
Yes.
Okay.
Works for me.
So we make a motion to recommend 871 River, 3346 Ave, 3236 Ave, and 17 Park Avenue
I'll second.
to the board for acquisition.
Jeanette, you're gonna have to second that.
I
And then-
did.
You did.
Oh, okay. All right. So all in favor?
Favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay. So where are we on the agenda?
Next on the agenda is Beacon Communities Potential Purchase Option Agreement Amendments.
Yeah, so Beacon has decided to defer submitting their low-income housing tax credit application, which means that we are going to have to amend the agreements that we have with them. So Kate and I had a conversation with them last week. They're going to put their heads together to consider some issues that we talked to them about. And they're going to get back to us hopefully before the board meeting, which is next Wednesday. So that's where it stands now. We kind of talked about their delays going to mean we would have to spend more money on insurance and property maintenance than we originally were planning on. So, and a few other issues that, because it's a contract thing, I don't think we should be talking about in public at this point.
Okay.
I just want to make you aware that that's probably going to be needed.
No, and there's no action to take at this time.
Now, just wanted
Yep.
to provide the information.
All right, next item, purchase applications, 3154 6th Avenue.
So we found out that Michaela Lynch was part of the LLC, but was not part of the application. I have an amended application, and I circulated a redacted version of that along with a letter that the applicants wanted A&D to read. I did run a credit and criminal check for Ms. Lynch, and it came back fine. Credit was strong, and no reports of any criminality.
I did read the letter. Yeah, pull it up. And Tony, you've read through the letter as well?
Yeah, and I actually didn't need the letter, but because I know what their perspective is on this.
Yeah, and the $1.30 per square foot for comparable sales, is that hold true for the 7th Avenue lot?
I didn't do the math, but I assume that the math is correct.
But that was the price, the 6,000 to 7,000.
I believe we actually sold it for 7,000.
Yeah.
I've seen enough of vacant lot sales in my career and appraisals that go along with them in the city of Albany, in the city of Troy, and Cohoes. And, you know, there is definitely a range, but it is between 9 and 10 grand roughly, is probably what I see 90% of the time, for whatever that's worth. We don't have an exact appraisal on this one. So the appraisals I have seen, though, have been in that range, not $1,000 a lot or even $3,000 a lot.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be good if we had Heather here as someone who deals with property assessments.
Well, if I remember correctly, Brian, I think part of the reasoning where we came up with the 7,000 was, I think, based on some of her input.
Well, this was actually recommended for approval at 15,000. It was listed on our website for 1,000. One of the things I remember Heather saying to try to kind of bridge the gap on this was that maybe the purchase agreement could have a provision in it whereby, you know, the $1,000 is paid and the balance is paid when city approvals are in place or something like that. That way the applicant wouldn't be putting their money to risk, which is what they're trying to avoid. And we would still be able to get what is really a market rate for a vacant lot, or at least what we think it is.
It doesn't seem like $7,000 is a huge amount of money for investment type folks, I wouldn't think. I mean, it just seemed really reasonable to me, but.
Well, let me, the $7,000 was what we got for a vacant lot, actually a double vacant lot on 7th Avenue. This one, A&D recommended to sell at $15,000.
Oh, gee whiz. So here I am having it. And sorry, I guess that's not my recollection. Anyway,
It's okay.
thanks for the facts.
Well, just so there's some clarity here too. With what you suggested, Tony, what Heather said, technically, you know, because I'd be the one putting together these contracts. When we do new builds, it would be contingent upon getting government approvals, due diligence, all of that. And then we would close. So that's a possibility. So you would only have a down payment in for, you know, whatever, $1,000. I didn't think we would be just outright selling the property. We'd have to have, you know, we'd have our normal restrictions on the deed and all of that, but, you know, we want them to build the project. And the only way to be sure of that is if the contract and the closing are contingent upon all those approvals. So that's the only way really to do a new build the proper way, you know, is to do it contingent upon financing, contingent upon title, contingent upon government approvals, any due diligence, and then we would close and they'd have X amount of time to complete the project. So technically, I guess what I'm saying is they'd only be at risk at their down payment at that point, whatever that is. We wouldn't just make them, you know, pay $10,000 and they
Walk
own it,
away.
they walk away. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So that argument doesn't really, the fact that they'd be exposed to losing money doesn't really fly because it's all contingent upon all that anyway.
So what do we do?
Well, you can make a recommendation to the board to either reject the proposal, move forward the proposal, or for more discussion at the board meeting, I suppose. It's really, you know, you're making the recommendation. But, you know, you got to be careful with sending things to the full board too, because then you're on this lengthy discussion and about nothing, you know, so.
And-
But those are your
Tony,
options.
there are, I did read the letter, but so they were offering 3,000, was that it? Is that correct?
I believe it was 1,000.
Oh,
No more than 3.
oh, yikes. Oh, no,
Okay,
more
oh,
than,
that's right, in the letter. I'm sorry.
okay, well.
Thank you for correcting me to that.
Oh, given my memory. Well,
And I like the proposal for the property. I'd like something to work out. But at the same time, I want to be reasonable about the value of the property itself.
I agree.
I'm just surprised, and again, I'm not familiar with the property, when I just look at what the city gets offered for vacant properties, and we don't market them very well or do a really good job on any of this. And I'm looking at the list right now. I mean, for vacant properties, we're getting offers like a 500, 1,000, sometimes 2,000. So doesn't seem, like I say, we don't have a lot of them, and sometimes. I'm sorry, I'm just the number.
Yeah, but generally, Steve, that's, you know, side lot gardens, like you're preserving the vacancy, not a commercial, you know, development or a home development on that parcel.
Right.
Yeah. Well, not always, but you're right. I don't see a lot of them in here. And again, it's a different market in Schenectady than here, but when I was there, was the same thing. It was like 1,000, 2,000 was what we got there, but this is a different market.
Yeah, I really like the project too, but I guess I don't want to feel shortchanged either.
shall we table this until we can discuss it more with Heather?
Yeah, you could do that.
Okay,
So Heather's on vacation next week, so actually having a conversation at the board meeting, if it's still next week, you wouldn't have her input. Just so you know.
maybe could we have, like a quickie meeting before the board meeting or something, Tony?
We can have a special meeting, sure.
I mean, it's just, it's
Oh, we
sort
we
of,
definitely can.
Heather knows a lot more about property values than I for sure do.
Yeah. I mean, we've been selling the side lots for 1,000. Pretty
But not a
typically,
building
right?
lot,
But
right,
Not a building lot.
right.
How big is this?
And
lot?
that goes to the appraised value. If the lot is buildable, obviously it garners a larger price.
Right.
Oh, so how big is this lot?
25 by 62, I believe. Is that right, Tony?
That sounds right. It's and most lots are 25 by, I believe, 100 or 125. So this is it looks like at some point someone subdivided that lot in half.
I mean, it's a side lot basically that somebody wants to build on. What do they want to build? I'm sorry, I'm jumping in here late.
4-unit, really nice.
Put it on the screen, probably, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it. Share screen.
With sort of interesting eco-friendly techniques for building.
If you let me, I can, okay, got it.
Do you still see it?
Yep.
Okay.
It's at the end of the packet.
Yeah.
Oops. What's this?
So that's it's a tall, skinny building with a lot of, I mean, in my opinion, a lot of really nice design features.
Tony, can you scroll down on the photo on the actual document? Because we're just looking at page 1 of the app.
There we go.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So that's a rendition. Other rendition. So that's the lot. So you can see right here, it looks like there's a house here. It looks like someone just took the original parcel, I should say the previous parcel, and subdivided it for whatever reason. That's a picture of the lot. It actually looks a lot larger because the property to the south is part of the property that the next building is on, and it's a big area of grass, so it's deceiving. Floor plans.
Albert, do you have any another concern about this too? Was that what you were talking about with regard to the financial piece of this? Or was that a different property?
Actually, it was this property. I was looking at the application.
Okay.
I mean, you got to take into consideration they got upfront fees for the application. I mean, they got to pay for like appraisal and environmental. They got to pay for that stuff. Well, the appraisal they got to pay. You know, some of the stuff they got to pay up front. So
And then what's next door? There's a vacant lot next door too?
To the south, there's a vacant lot that is part of the building to the south of it.
Okay.
It's all the same parcel. And then to the east, there's a small, not very high character building.
Boy. So you sold building lots for more money for like $6,000 to $10,000?
Yeah, we had the build, if you're heading west and you're at the very end of Park Avenue at 7th Avenue.
Yeah.
Straight across from 7th Avenue, there was a large brick building that we demolished, and it was on a double lot. And that's when I learned that building lots are worth more than side lots. The applicant offered $1,000 and A&D said $7,000. So
So a side lot's not, you can't build on a side lot? Is that what you're saying?
you can, but most people just use it for, to enlarge their yards.
It depends on how big it is. The cities has certain code requirements for, setbacks and whatnot. So this particular lot in question, I believe, is buildable. But some side lots are so small or vacant lots that they wouldn't be buildable. And therefore, in the appraisal world, that has less of a value to that property because it's not buildable.
And I think the biggest impact is when you're gonna have a buildable lot or a lot between two buildings. So this one looks a little easier to build on. But I mean, to me, a side lot's the same as a buildable lot almost. They're the same size. And if it's a lot of record, it's a buildable lot. And then you probably just get variances for side yard and rear front yard setback
And parking.
and park.
It's a corner lot, so. Do you guys want to try to schedule a special meeting?
Well, I do think Heather's input would be important on one hand. On the other hand, in order to just move this along, we could decide to accept or not accept, I suppose. Is that correct?
Yes. Recommend approval, recommend denial, or table or a special meeting or for the board to discuss it. But again, Heather won't be at the next board meeting.
I'd say given, if we sold the double lot on 7th for 7,000, this is a small single lot, I think I would be okay with 3,000.
That would seem to settle the issue.
Seems like a mighty cheap price to me.
It's a pretty small lot, 25 by 62.
I mean, you're pretty close to Dow Street though, right? Isn't Dow Street kind of ground zero of, I just think Dow Street's never really impresses me. It always, I think it's one of the worst, isn't it one of the more challenged streets in that area? I'm trying to be delicate with what I say.
I think anything you can to encourage development
Yeah.
in our target area. It's a good thing.
So is that what they're requesting, a $3,000 sales price?
I think they hit 3,000 was their top. And according to their letter, would they have to submit another purchase application, Tony?
Well, if
Or you just
if any-
negotiate it?
I don't know, I think A&D, if they wanted to pass a resolution and call the price 3,000 or 1,000 or 15,000, that's, I think you can make a part of your resolution.
Yeah, we would just go back and amend the application with the right price so that when we attach it to the enforcement note and mortgage, it reflects the right amount.
Yeah.
But I know, Albert, I think you had other concerns. Are you all set on those or?
Well, no, actually. I'd like to see more information on the individuals, tell you the truth.
Can we table it?
I think, Albert, your question is more generic I think your question is about the application,
Well,
not
it's not the purchase price, it's
Yeah,
more the
the
applicants,
the boilerplate application.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be okay tabling it and having a an impromptu meeting, another meeting prior to the board meeting if we can.
I would be amenable to that as well.
So, Brian, you're usually the toughest guy to schedule for this committee
Yeah,
because you're the busiest. Look at you. So what times work out for you? Maybe for,
I guess let's just
Thursday,
take a
Friday.
pause here because if Heather's away,
yeah.
okay, you're not going to get a special meeting in before the board meeting anyway. I would just table it to your next A&D meeting. That's what I would do, but
what would stop us from having a meeting on Friday?
if Heather's going to be there, I suppose.
I think she
then-
is. That's what
Okay.
she's gone next week.
All right,
Well, if we can schedule that for Friday, let's go ahead and do it. If not, let's table it to the next A&D meeting.
Good with that.
Let's see, 3, this meeting starts at 3:30. Does 3:30 work for you two? And Albert?
Works for me.
Closer to the end of the day you can get, the better for me.
Oh, okay. 4
Name-
better?
Name your time.
It's only one agenda item. Can we do 4:30?
Works for me.
What day?
this would be this Friday.
Yeah.
Friday?
All right. You're going to have to notice that by tomorrow.
I know.
Okay,
I'll try to have something by the end of the day today. Okay, and I'll check with Heather to make sure that she's going to be here.
Yes, that would be really important.
Understood. So,
It's on my calendar.
okay,
Great.
all right.
What's next?
We've got 10 minutes left, 10 minutes before executive committee should start.
Do a quick summary of enforcement and updates on projects. Real quick.
He's chewing, so I'll jump into updates on projects. 791 River Street. George Brower from SEAT has been starting to talk to subcontractors to start lining the work up. We had Roland J. Downs go in to take a look at the HVAC equipment and just for an inspection. And that came back fine. We had Bennett Construction did pressure testing of the plumbing and the fire suppression system, and that all came back fine. So sorry, Brian, were you going to say something?
I said that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's moving forward. 11 Winney Avenue is so close to completion. I thought it would be done by now. The back foundation wall stabilization was done a few weeks ago. The 2 decks on the back are very close to being constructed. And once that's done, our real estate broker says someone just needs to kind of make it presentable, broom and vacuum and that kind of stuff. So I've got to think that by the end of this week, we should have that ready to put on the market. 54 Fifth Avenue, this project was on hold, waiting for Reeves Engineering to submit the final drawings to code enforcement. And it was taking a long time. But last Thursday, I'm sorry, 2 Thursdays ago, that was completed. It's been submitted to to code enforcement. So that should get rocking and rolling again. 3229 6th Avenue. I had asked Johnny Bobo to stop work on that project to concentrate on 791 because of our cash flow issues. But now that 791 is complete, I'm sure he'll be jumping back into 3229.
Did you just say 791 was complete?
Oh, I wish. No,
I
I'm
think-
sorry.
Yeah, I think that's what you said though, Tony.
Okay, I'm sorry. Now that 11 Winney Avenue is for all intents and purposes complete, Johnny Bobo can jump over to 3229 6th Avenue and get that going again. And 7 Park Avenue, we needed a certification from Reeves Engineering that the building needs to be demolished, and we have that certification. I have not submitted that to code enforcement yet because I wasn't sure which way the property disposition list was going to jump, so. And those are all our buildings.
Tony, has signed an agreement yet?
Actually, Kate got an email from Jennifer today. Jennifer hasn't signed it, but it's only because there was a death in the family and she had some family issues she had to contend with. But it sounds like she will be signing it very soon.
And they wanted to start by mid-June, right? That was their target?
They wanted to start June 1st.
Oh,
And in a way they have. George is talking to subcontractors. He's got Roland J. Downs in there. He actually went in and opened an access. That furnace that's behind a wall that has no door, that should have a door. He opened the wall so that Roland J. Downs could have access to the furnace without that crazy go up a ladder in the dark kind of thing. So,
okay.
So that's where that's at. 54 Fifth Avenue, I will say, there were complaints about removing the 2 front doors and transom and replacing it with a steel stamped door. I'm going to be talking to George about putting something back that's more in character with the building, because what's there now clearly is not. And I'm kind of hoping that that door was just put in there as a temporary measure, because it's not what should be on that building. And Brian, thanks for your input on that.
Yeah, typically you want to use the whole masonry opening whenever you can. It's
That's what it's there
really,
for.
it's really unfortunate. People put in little vinyl windows framed in with wood and plywood and vinyl siding around the whole masonry opening. But
Yeah. Agreed. So Kate, I guess back to you.
Or what?
Enforcement, foreclosure status updates.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 court actions are returnable next week. One, on 3209, 3211, the owners reached out and we're going to settle that with a deed in lieu of foreclosure. So my office is working on that. And then the 785, 836 River, we're going to take a default judgment on that, return date next week. So, I'll get a proposed order over to the court, but generally speaking, the Supreme Court has 60 days to issue that order. But I'll stay on them, hopefully, to get that sooner than later. And then we'll have to, reclaim the premises. But the owner there, SHLT LLC, has not appeared, contacted us, nothing, and they've been served with every piece of paper, I'm sure. So that's been very interesting. No response at all from them. So
Are they local, Kate, do you know?
no, they are not.
Spring Valley, New York.
Mhm.
okay.
But that's it for foreclosures.
I think that's it for our agenda as well. A motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Hi.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks for coming, everyone.
427.
Yes, see you Friday, maybe.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I guess you'll let us know, Tony, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay,
I'll see you at the
so
next
don't-
meeting, Tony.
okay.